In this video, what I want to do is I'm going to be taking 3 questions and solving them based on our previous concepts which we have learned. And also, I want you guys to pause the video before I solve it myself. And let us start with the first question. A fraction becomes 1 by 3 when 1 is subtracted from the numerator and becomes 1 by 4 when 8 is added to the denominator. Also, let me tell you that these questions are taken from the NCERT textbook. And now let us start. So, the fraction, suppose the fraction is x by y. I write it nicely. That's x by y, okay? And x is called the numerator and y is called the denominator. So numerator is on the top and denominator is on the bottom. So how I remember is denominator starts with a D, right? Denominator starts with a D and down starts with a D. So that's why I remember where the denominator is, and numerator is obviously the other thing which is not the denominator. Okay, now we know they're saying 1 is subtracted from the numerator. That means x minus 1, right? 1 is subtracted from the numerator. And I have y below. Now that becomes 1 by 3. So that's 1 by 3. And then the second one, it is given that uh, 8 is added to the denominator. So denominator is down. So 8 is added to y. It becomes 1 by 4. What I'll do here is I'm going to take this 3 onto the top and y over here. Similarly, I'll take this here and take this there. So this is going to give me, the first equation is going to be 3 times x minus 1 equals y, and the second equation is going to be 4x is equal to y plus 8. Notice that already in the before this one, in this one, the y is already giving its answer in the x term. So let us consider this value of, we'll shift the value here in place of y. So I'll get 4x is equal to 3x, right, and minus 3 and plus 8. So this is going to be 4x equals 3x plus 5. Subtract it over there, I'll get x is 5. Now this was very easy, and now let us put the value of x in this equation because it's already equal to y. So this will be maybe simpler to solve. Also, let me tell you again, I have told in previous videos as well, we can put the value anywhere we want. Okay, we can put them here, here, or anywhere. So I'm going to put it in this because it looks simpler to me. So that will be 3 times pi minus 1 equals y. 5 minus 1 is 4, so my y is going to be 12. Now after we get our values of x and y, which is x as 5 and y as 13, we have taken our fraction to be x by y. So when our fraction is x by y, what we do is consider x there, right, and y there. So the fraction needed, the fraction we want is x by y, and that is 5 by 13. Okay, now let us do the second question, which says places A and B are 100 km apart. So there we have A and B, which are 100 km apart. And there are 2 cars at each side. So let us call this car, let us call this car maybe P. Let us call this car Q, P and Q. Okay, so these 2 cars, they travel from these 2 points and at the same direction at different speeds. So they reach over here, C point, destination C. So this car A travels A till C, and the car B travels B to C. So this distance is 100 plus BC, and this is BC alone. Now when I subtract those two, when I subtract them, when I subtract these two distances, I'll be left with this much part only, because this will go off, and I'll be left with this much part, which is 100. So Now what I can write with this is that the distance traveled by P, the distance traveled by Q subtracted from the distance traveled by P is 100. So how am I going to write that is AC minus BC is equal to AB, and AB we know is 100, so I'll write AC minus BC equals 100. Now one more thing, um, we know that speed is distance by time, and my speed times time is going to be distance. Now I want to write these two distances in this form. How I'm going to do that is I know that they traveled for 5 hours. That means the both cars traveled for 5 hours. So my time is 5 hours, and speed, let us consider speed. So let's consider the car P speed to be x kilometer per hour, and the car Q speed to be y kilometer per hour. So that is going to be 5 times x, that is the distance of uh, the car P, and similarly 5 times y is going to be distance of car Q. So I'm going to substitute these values over here. So the car P value is 5x, car Q value is minus 5y equals the distance 100. Now, if after solving this, take the 5 common, divide it over there, we'll get x minus y as 20. After getting x minus y as 20, let me take all this out here so we can solve it again. Next, let us move on to the second situation which we have been given. In that, we do not need to include the destination C. So that has, this is P and Q, this is important. Okay, now here in the second situation, it is given that they are moving towards each other. When they move towards each other, this distance is going to be this distance plus this distance, right? That is because when they both meet at one point, say this point, so when we add this distance and this distance, we get AB. Now, now that distance took 1 hour, so that means they both traveled for 1 hour towards each other. So that's 1 hour. Okay. Now this equation, how it's gonna form is we'll be having, say suppose this is destination, say destination C, doesn't matter. So that's AC plus CB is equal to 100, or you can write AB and then substitute, write 100, but this is also fine. So I want to write AC and CB again as speed into time is equal to distance. How I'm going to do that is I know the speed is 1 and I know the time is 1. I took the speed x and y, so I'll do that x plus y equals 100. Now if I have x plus y equals 100 and x minus y equals 20, I'm going to write this as x is equal to 20 plus y. Now when I write this as 20 plus y and substitute the value over there, I'm going to get x plus, I'll get 20 plus y, so 20 plus y equals 100. So that will be my 2y equals 100 and 100 minus 20, and my y is going to be 100 minus 20 is 80, and 80 by 2 will be my y. So that's 80 by 2, and that is equal to 40. So the speed of y, I'll write it in a box. Speed of vehicle, here is vehicle Q. So the speed of Q is 40 kilometer per hour. Now let us change this. Well, let's put this value in this equation, or you can even put it in this equation. It doesn't matter, or even in like this equation as well. So I can put it here as well, but I'll put it in this. So I'm gonna get, that's my y. So I get x minus 40 equals 20, and x is equal to 60. Now what I get is the speed of Q. Speed of vehicle Q is 60 km per hour. Now I get both of the speeds which they asked. They asked what is the speed, so I'll get both my speeds, one as 40 km per hour and the other as 60 km per hour. Coming to the third question, we have 2 women and 5 men can together finish your work in 4 days, while 3 women and 6 men can finish it in 3 days. Find the time taken by one woman alone and that taken by one man alone. So let's underline those. Now here, what we need to do is we can't write 2x as woman and 5y as men and equals 4. This actually doesn't work in these types of questions. What we need to do in this question is, now suppose there are 2 women, right? So W is woman and they are finishing it in x days. So each woman will do x by 2 of the work. Now this x by 2 is happening in the whole time. So if this is a whole time, say x, each woman, the woman 1 is doing this much work and the woman 2 is doing this much work. And that is x by 2 and x by 2 of the work. Now what we need is how much each woman is doing each day. This is how many days they are doing in x days, how much time they're doing in x days. What we need is, when we divide this into x number of parts, we want to figure out this one block. And that is going to be 2 by x. That's going to be the reciprocal of it. Now if you're wondering how it is true, the thing is, if suppose we take our x as 100 days, okay, so I'll have 2 women, they're doing a piece of work in 100 days. Now each woman is going to be doing 50% or 50 days of the work. Now this one, what I got here is this one which I got here was, if I have 100 here and this is W1, this is the work done by W2, and what I get here is I get 100 by 2 on this side and 100 by 2 on this side. So that is basically 50. That is what we got here. Now each day, if I divide this in 100 parts, if I divide this in 100 parts and take 2 parts out of it, which is basically, if I divide into 50 parts and take 1 part out of it, I'll get 1 by 50, right? Now if there are 50 parts here, now if I multiply by 50, as I keep adding 1 by 50, 1 by 50, I'm gonna get 1. And that means that it is doing that work, and it is correct that it is doing 1 by 50 work in each day. Now I'll take all this off. What we need to do, what we understood here, is that it is doing reciprocal of the work each day. And I'll write that down here on the side. I'll write that uh, each woman on each day is doing 2 by x of the work. Now if I have 2 women, I'll write 2 by x. Now suppose we'll consider the time y for the men, so I'll write plus 5y, and that is equal to 1 by 4. Now why 1 by 4 when I have 4 days here is because when 4 days is divided into 4 parts, this is 5 parts, if 4 days is divided into 4 parts, you're gonna get each part as 1 by 4, and each part is 1 day, so 1 by 4th of the work each day, because we are considering the other two in that term, so that's why we consider the days also in that terms. Similarly, the other one is going to be 3 by x plus 6 by y equals 1 by 3. Now let us solve this. This one is now one more thing. I want to consider 1 by x as a and 1 by y as b. Now let me do that. So I'll get 2a, the first equation I'm writing, and 5b is 1 by 4, and 3a plus 6b is 1 by 3. And I usually don't like working with fractions, so what I do is multiply this by the denominator and this by the denominator, and similarly here. So what happens if I multiply with the denominator? I am no longer left with a fraction. I'll have a non-fraction, which is more easier to solve. So here this equation is going to become 8a plus 20b equals 1, and this is going to be 9a plus 18b equals 1. Now as they both are 1, what I would like to do is I would like to equate these two equations. So what I'm going to write is 8a, so what I like to write is maybe 8a plus 20b is equal to 9a plus 18b. Now when I interchange, I'll take the 8 there, so I get 20b. When I take the 8 over there, it gets subtracted, and when I subtract 8a from 9a, I'll be left with a, and I have plus 18b. Taking plus 18b to that side, it will subtract, and 18b from 20b is going to be 2b. So that's 2b equals a. Now what I get here is the value of a in terms of b. I'll take any one equation, suppose the first equation I'll take, and I'll substitute the value of a as 2b. So I'll get 8 times 2b plus 20b equals 1. So 8 2s are 16, 16b plus 20b equals 1. And now I'm gonna get 36b equals 1, and b is equal to 1 by 36. Now 1 by 36 is a weird number to get, but remember that we have written our b as 1 by y. So this is 1 by 36. I'll write in this box. 1 by 36 is actually 1 by y, and that will give us that y is equal to 36. After we get the value of y, we want to figure out the value of a. Now we know b is 1 by 36, so I'll substitute 1 by 36 in this equation, or you can substitute in any equation, you'll get the answer whatsoever. Now let me do that. So I'll get 2 times 1 by 36 equals a. And 36 goes 18 times in 2, so I'll have 1 by 18 as a. Again, remember, we have written 1 by 18, we have written a as 1 by x. So here in this box, 1 by x is actually 1 by 18, and therefore x is going to be 18.